Nebraska. April of 2020, Kenny Collins purchased a house. Soon after, he and his wife began to experience unexplained paranormal activity. While working in the cellar, he located a strange wooden box. A wooden box with even stranger contents. Wondering if this was the source of the activity, and unnerved by the strange occurrences in his house, Kenny removed the box and its contents from the home and contacted Trails to the Unknown, a paranormal investigative team based in Colorado. Anna, Alan, Madison, and Jesse. Kenny traveled to meet with Alan and Jesse as soon as possible to give them the items so an investigation could begin to resolve the haunting of his house.
Come in. Kenny.
What's up, man?
Hi. How you doing?
Good to see you. Been a while, man.
What you got there?
Well, I have something that I would like for you guys to look at.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Looks a little suspect here.
I'm gonna let you unveil it, and then you can tell me.
Whoa, Kenny, what the heck is this?
What is that, dude? Well, I'll tell you what, you guys know that I bought a home in Nebraska. It's 123 years old.
Right.
It's an old farmhouse. And when I bought the house, I went into the basement. There's a dirt basement down there. And there is an old chest in there. So I go into the cubby hole, and this box is in there, with this doll.
Kenny, this is a goat.
It looks really
this
old.
is satanic.
I don't know if I want to hold it.
Well, guess what's in the box with the doll?
Looks like German, maybe?
It's a German book of some sort.
But
There's
the
a
illustrations.
There's a name. Oh, yeah.
There's a name in here. This looks really. This is original, Kenny. This is really cool.
Oh, my. What is that?
There's some artwork in here. There's demons and goats and.
There's more goats.
What's going on over there?
I don't know. That's why I come to my people that will help me try to figure this out.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, for sure, Kenny. We'll take our best crack at it and see what we can do.
Yeah.
I'm not putting this in my house.
Not mine either.
This began a journey for the team to delve into the world of haunted dolls and the root of activity in Kenny's house. To assist in this investigation, the team will call upon some of the country's leading paranormal investigators. Richard Estep,
I call that pretty sinister looking. I don't know that I would give that to a kid myself.
David Weatherly,
You know, you have to consider if there's an entity that is somehow sharing a space with us, but is not completely in the physical.
April Slaughter,
You know, on the surface, it would seem like, like maybe somebody was either trying to conjure something with this doll or to keep something from being conjured with this doll.
and several others. At their Colorado headquarters, the Trails team began their investigation of the haunting of Blue Hill and the doll that started it all. Alan introduced the doll to the rest of the team.
All right, so our friend Madison is over. We're gonna have her help look into some of this. So I'm gonna show it to her for the first time. She has no idea what we've got here. So, hey Madison, come down here. We got to show you something.
Okay, why do you have a box?
So, here you go.
Okay. It's a goat.
That's a goat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So take a look. Take a look.
Yeah.
Go through it and let's see what you think.
It feels pretty old.
Yeah.
Pretty dirty. It looks like it's missing one arm and it has another arm. In here I'm going to look for a mark to see if there's any sort of label or anything that might give us a better understanding. But as I'm doing that, I do notice that the stitching looks like it was definitely made from a machine, so this was not hand stitched.
Okay. So it's interesting that this potentially was mass produced.
I'd say this was
I don't know why you'd want to buy that for your kid,
but I have noticed that in addition to that one arm being gone, the other one is just being held on with a safety pinch.
And what about the goatee there?
So that feels like either animal fur, potentially like horsetail or camelid.
Thanks for checking it out.
Yeah, and touching it, and
Yeah.
When you put in a search for a goat doll, which, by the way, we kind of transitioned to looking up Baphomet as a doll, seeing the similarities between that and some things online.
So do we think that's a representation of the deity Baphomet?
I'm mixed on that for two reasons. Because the way it's dressed doesn't necessarily indicate anything occult or demonic or anything like that, but the way the rest of its design fits that mold.
Next, the team turned their focus to the religious text. What were its origins, and why was it in the box with the doll?
So this book was in the box with the goat. This was actually what first got alerted to our attention. It's all in what we believe to be German.
It is German. It's the heart of man, the temple of God, habitation of Satan. So it's a religious book.
On the front of the book, it has the name Carl Schut written on the inside of the front cover. But on the front cover, below his name, and I thought it was a name at first. I was trying to figure it out. But I typed in what I thought it said, which was Guide Rock, which turns out is a village in Nebraska. And again, that's very cool. It keeps it consistent with the, where we're looking right now, where this came from.
There's a demon-looking creature here that looks very goat-like. So whatever this is does seem to tie into the representation of the doll, at least.
Lastly, the team took a closer look at the box and a piece of coal found with the other items.
It seems like it was put together as a kit for whatever was going on, and there's probably other pieces to the kit that's not here.
With the book, with the doll, and what appears to be a piece of coal, this all came in this box, and so we started looking at the box, which is very old, and we noticed there is a name on the side. It appears to say Bisher Brothers in Holstein, Nebraska.
Okay, so now that we know a little bit more, and we've sort of done a little bit of research, what do you think we got here?
I have no idea.
I mean, for me, it's really creepy, and the fact that all this sort of ties together to something not too good creeps me out even more.
A few weeks later, Madison did further research on the book, and the team began their preliminary paranormal investigation of the items.
It translates to the heart of man, either a temple of God or a habituation of Satan, represented in 10 emblematic figures. Something very interesting about that part of the book is that we only have pages 1 through 30. So we only have the first 4 diagrams of the original 10. It is the path of a Christian soul going from sinning to basically following Christ. It sounds like we basically have the portion relating to the sinner.
All right, so now we've all gathered here with the book. We're going to do an investigation to see if there's any energy, residual, or intelligence, or any actual attachments to the book. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have a little Tesla coil here, which will provide a sort of a magnetic plasma field of energy that could be used for spirits to manifest or pull energy from to communicate with us. I'll turn the REM pod on here. And K2. Should we try spirit box? Are there any attachments to the book that's in front of us right now?
That was interesting. Sounded like it said hello.
Are you trying to protect us from the doll?
Is that no?
No. Is the entity before us human?
Did you guys do salvation?
Interesting. So my idea is let's bring the doll over and see if that changes anything.
Okay.
All right, here's our doll. How are you feeling? Move it.
Tell us your name.
All right, so now let's reassemble all this into the format in which we received it all, and see if that does anything differently. With the book and the coal, there we go. Everything is back to normal.
All right.
So let's try this one more time. How are you feeling about being back in the box?
Oh.
That safety and love.
Oh my God.
That was clear.
Clearest thing we've heard all night.
When we had just the book and the doll together, it said, like,
Move it.
move it. But then we added the box and the coal. And now we're hearing safe.
I think we were able to determine that yes, there's something going on. It definitely seems to be different when we put things together.
With a base understanding of the items, the team began their inquiry on Kenny's house. Blue Hill is a small town situated amongst the cornfields of Nebraska in the heart of the Midwest. With a population of under 1,000, this tight-knit community lives with a secret. A 130-year-old farmhouse located on one of its quiet residential streets has a paranormal mystery hidden beneath the house, in the cellar. The farmhouse was purchased by couple Ruby and Wendell in the 1960s. They had 5 children, including their son Timothy, who passed away during the Persian Gulf War in the 1990s. Ruby passed away in the home in 2019 after a battle with cancer, while Wendell died over a decade earlier. On the front page of the 170-year-old book found in the cellar, there is a handwritten text that reads, Carl Schutte, Guide Rock, Nebraska. Carl died in 1948 in Guide Rock, which is 25 miles south of Blue Hill. It is unclear how this book ended up in the cellar. However, Carl had a brother, Fred Schutte, who died in 1965 in Blue Hill. Alan and Jesse traveled to Kenny's house for the first time to further interview him about the paranormal activity he was experiencing.
All right. Kenny.
Jesse.
What's up, man? How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right.
Hi.
Hey, good to see you.
How's it going?
Well.
Good. Welcome to Nebraska.
Well, thanks. Can we come in?
Sure, come on
All right.
in.
So, we're really interested in this dog that you gave us. How did you know that maybe there was something like this here? What tipped you off to the fact that something was wrong?
Well, when I moved in the house. During a showing of the house, I was showed the basement. It's a dirt basement. It just creeped me out from the beginning. I knew that something was weird in the basement, and I was always drawn down there. So when it came time to do some renovation down there, I spent more time down there, and that's when the experiences of just a residual feel that it just wasn't right down there.
So you didn't have much happen before you started going down there?
No.
Okay.
I know that the prior resident had died here. Her name was Ruby.
So then after you sort of started playing around down there, what started happening?
It seems like it was stirring up the whatever was down there. Didn't like it. Didn't like renovation. Didn't like me doing anything different. And that's what brought it more intense.
Okay.
Why don't you guys come with me and I'll show you the area to the basement.
Kenny took Alan and Jesse to the cellar.
Watch your head.
I'm gonna take you guys through the area where the room was. And there was a creepy door down there that was painted on with spots and different types of patterns. And it just didn't seem right.
This was where the doll was found?
Right.
Okay.
I'll take you there right now.
All right.
There was a wall right here. From that to there. Right here was about the doorway. And the wall was made of that material right there.
The brick or the slab?
That slatting right there.
Okay.
The doll that I found was in a cabinet right here. That set, there was a wall right here, and this is where the cabinet was, and the doll was shoved into a cubby hole right here. I knew from the door and the residual feel in this room wasn't good. I was building these walls up, you can see them, and I was behind here doing a cement. I had my wheelbarrow here. I had this bucket right there. So I'm building these walls right here. So I turned around, and what was this doing right here? It was doing this.
All by itself?
In a circle, all by itself. Okay, like that. Then I looked down. The water in the bucket was swirling.
And the bucket was right here underneath?
Right here, right underneath it.
So it was swirling?
It was swirling, the water was. So I ran upstairs and I told my wife, and my wife was like, I don't want the thing in the house, the doll, and you need to take that room down.
You still have the bulk of the door?
Yeah.
Can we see that?
Sure.
No, I'm saying what's interesting is that you can clearly see the outside, part of the basement wall, but then you've got this second set of bricks, which actually are in about 2 feet from that, creates a whole different space. Now, it was the coal chute at one point, but whenever I see like this, you can see a second wall all the way on the other side.
It's all right. Why would you put it like bloody down and spot it like that? What's the purpose of it? And this was the outside of it.
You know what this looks like to me? This looks a little bit like a set of chains going vertical. Maybe to help keep the door shut, keep something trapped inside the door?
Yeah, it's almost like a symbolic representation of holding things in.
Right, exactly.
A few weeks after visiting Kenny's, Alan and Jesse were in Eureka Springs, Arkansas for a paranormal conference. Here, they noticed haunted dolls on the shelf of the haunted Eureka Springs Museum and spoke with tour guide Katie Broyles about them.
So these dolls actually have real human hair on top of their heads. So back when they lost ones, it was fairly common for them to go to a porcelain doll maker, pick out a doll, see what kind, in their child's likeness. They would take it home, chop the hair off of the black child and put it on the deceased child's head. They would then place it at the family dinner table for one last family meal together.
Oh, that one? Okay, maybe it's pick up.
While at the conference, Alan talked with intuitive Holly Ludwig about the goat doll.
So I'm curious on your opinion on this doll that I was given. What you think, first impressions?
So on my first impression, this was a baby who had crossed over and the soul was placed into the doll for safekeeping. But my other first impression is that these people are like dark arts masters, or I don't want to use the word Satanist, but I'm going to have to use that word. But they literally lost this baby, and the way they preserved it was in this doll.
So they did a ritual.
They did a ritual
themselves
before they buried the body, and like take that soul out.
Wow.
That or I don't want to say sacrifice, but it's almost like a sacrifice.
Really? So is this some serious bad?
This is some serious bad stuff, yeah.
So I need to be careful.
I would be careful.
Wanting further insight from professionals, the team brought in a few paranormal experts to give their thoughts on the investigation so far.
Haunted dolls they're a whole subgenre of their own, and there are people with collections purely of dolls that they think have spirit attachments to them. Some people believe that spirits, whether positive, negative, or indifferent, can attach to those dolls, and then when the doll changes location, when it moves from one owner to another, that attachment follows with it. And so it's not unusual to see strange things happening in the houses of people that acquire these haunted dolls.
Historically, dolls have been used for centuries and centuries for occult use, for ritual use, for magic. They were used to represent spirits or deities, and over time they became playthings. And one of the reasons that they are so often seemingly haunted is that they have faces and eyes which we can look at and look into. So dolls can be vessels, in a sense, that can be filled with living people's thoughts and emotions, the thoughts and emotions of someone that has passed. Dolls can be residually haunted, where they've just been imbued with either an event, a traumatic event or circumstance, or from being in contact with a person for many, many years, they sort of soak up that energy. They can be intelligently haunted, where there's a spirit that's attached to the doll, and that can either be permanently with the doll, or that can be a spirit that comes and goes depending on whether the doll's being handled or what's going on.
There do seem to be cases in which Annabelle is probably the most famous one these days, in which some kind of negative spirit becomes attached to what is basically just a piece of cloth. But if you can imprint something negative upon that, as seemed to happen with Annabelle, as may have happened with the doll in question here, that object becomes a focus.
So hearing about this case of this doll found in a locked room in Nebraska in a remote location presents some curious possibilities. First of all, it sounds like this might have dated to around the 1980s, and we have to remember that's a period when there was the so-called satanic panic that was circulating around the country. There were a lot of people who were involved in different types of occult practices, some of them of what they believed were a satanic nature. I would speculate on a couple of possibilities. One, the room could have been locked away just because, locked shut, just because it was a ceremonial chamber that someone was using. The doll itself, there are different possibilities for it. It's a very unusual doll with a goat or a ram's head. And, this again harkens to satanic activity. There's a frequent use of horned god symbology amongst satanic practitioners. Everybody these days is well aware of the image of Baphomet, which the Church of Satan has tried to have installed at various locations around the country. But this is a long-standing idea that there is this horned, satanic, hellish entity that practitioners can petition for certain desires, so to speak.
It's interesting to me that there was a lump of coal in with the doll, that the doll is in a box. The doll and the box and the book are the only thing in this sealed room. So it implies someone really valued them, or someone was really frightened of them. Maybe both. They wanted to safeguard this thing, right? And you safeguard things that are valuable to you, but it's also possible it was sealed in the room because they were trying to protect themselves from it.
It could be something that occurred because someone opened the door, or to another level of existence, so to speak, causing an entity to look for something to possess. I know a lot of people don't like that word, but you know, you have to consider if there's an entity that is somehow sharing a space with us, but is not completely in the physical and is looking for a way to come through into our world, what better vessel than something that at least looks human-like?
I think it's really possible that if you had a doll that you were freaked out by for some reason, whether it's because the doll looked freaky or just because you had some kind of experience with the doll, you might want to close it behind a door for protective reasons, and you might put symbols on that door to try and keep those energies either contained within that room or from outside energies entering that room. But I did a little research onto the sort of snake work design there, the sort of crisscross design, and it does sort of look like an Egyptian symbol called Heka, which is sort of intertwined wicks or snakes, and the symbol can represent magic in general. From what I've read, it's been used in ancient Egyptian magic as a sort of doorway. Could be nothing, or it could have something to do with that symbol, I'm not sure. So I think that if you're just an average person back in the day and you've come across something that you think might be haunted or possibly demonic and you need to do something to contain it, and you're a church-going person, then you're probably going to keep this very hush-hush. They would probably call in a folk magic practitioner, and I'm not sure it would be very ritualistic or elaborate. It would be very sympathetic magic, where they're basically using items to resonate with their purpose. So like a door, for instance, that they send their intention to that this door is sealing and protective.
The story you're gonna have to pursue is who is the entity that is attached to your doll, and what does she or it want?
Alan took the items to renowned paranormal investigator April Slaughter to get her thoughts on what might be going on.
Hi.
Hi.
So here's what I've got to show you.
All right. Well, that's interesting. When you said a doll, I just automatically thought it was going to be a human doll.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a shock, but it's a good shock.
Okay.
So initially, I mean, usually I don't get things this quickly, but initially, the vision I'm getting, or the visual, I don't hear any messages yet, but I'm getting a visual of like someone in a family who was a seamstress, somebody who was talented at making things, who made this specifically for a family member. Actually, I get that it was probably made for a little boy as opposed to a little girl. And it was a gift of love. There was nothing like negative in gifting that to the youngster, but I think probably that hold on a second. I'm seeing the impression that this young boy kept this throughout his adulthood, but I'm seeing that he took it with him when he passed. So to me, it shouldn't be here.
Oh. So is this involved with activity or spirit attachment or anything like that?
I think the boy humanized it, even though it's not even a human doll, which is strange, but I think he spoke to it and it became his friend. Who made it? Something like it's an R name, so an older female. I'm guessing a grandmother. She looks like a grandmother type.
Could I give you a name?
Yes, absolutely.
Ruby.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that it?
That is her name.
Okay.
That is her name.
Wow.
Looking at this angle, it's possible that Ruby made the doll for her son, Timothy. The team located haunted doll collector Rebecca Blackburn, who provided some additional insight on the subject. She would also be aiding in an investigation of the goat doll.
You know, there are things that have been used in rituals. I have seen haunted dolls that were used in dark arts. You can even place a spirit or even call an entity and put it into a doll. I wouldn't recommend it, you know, but it, you know, is possible. All of our dolls, before they go into my inventory, we sage them. And if sage doesn't work, then we go to Palo Santo. If there's something that we feel might have an attachment or a spirit, we will set it aside and we'll work with it some more. And worst case scenario, it gets quarantined. You know, I mean, they can be feisty and things like that, because I truly believe that they are, you know, a human who is deceased. So they still have the personality and things like that. Early in my career making dolls, I found this doll. I adored it. I was like, oh, I must have this. We have to take it home. And we got up to the checkout counter. The girl's ringing up all the dolls, and she gets to that one. She goes, I don't like this one. And I said, oh, it's fine, not a problem. We got in the car, and immediately I started getting a headache, like a vice on my right side. So I got the sage. I had a big stick and I was blowing very hard. I was blowing the smoke at the doll. It did not penetrate. It did not touch the doll. It actually was about an inch away, and the smoke started rolling away from the doll. Then I'm looking at the doll's eyes, and something moves behind the eyes, and went, okay, no. We went down to Denver. We asked some questions from people who know more than I do, and about how to properly take care of an entity that might be an adult. So that's what we did.
Rebecca introduced Madison and Anna of the Trails team to a few of her haunted dolls.
This is Theodore. Are you going to speak? You got to make this blink, by the way. What I've gleaned from him, he is about 9 years old, and he likes to be called Theodore, not Teddy. The first time I realized that there was something going on with him, my K2 was going nuts, and I went, oh, it's animated, so let's take the batteries out. But there was no batteries. So I kind of went, yeah, there we go. Hi Theodore. Oh, I kind of went, yeah, there we go. Hi Theodore. All right, honey bunny.
So this is more of what a lot of people would consider a traditional haunted object
yeah.
Vessel.
This is actually a collector's item. I believe Diane von Furstenberg doll. The first thing we picked up on is that she did not like being restrained. She was in the box still. So she was a collector's item. As soon as I took that off, it was just a ribbon. I took it off. And it was like, she was like, oh, let me tell you, let's talk. And we were both picking up so fast, I couldn't hardly write down everything. She has a magical name that I call her. She told us it was Anester, so that's what I actually refer to her as. She was hung for being a witch.
Carrie Bergen, another haunted doll collector, also shared a few of her dolls with Alan.
Alright, so what do you got here?
I wanted to introduce you to some of my favorite haunted dolls. See, this here is Lily Bell, and I found her at an antique store about 8 years ago, and when I found her, she was sitting on the floor, and I just thought, oh, she's cute, I'm gonna pick her up. And when I picked her up, I just couldn't put her back down. I carried her around the whole antique mall, and the people there were like, are you gonna buy that thing? I said, yeah, I think I am. And they said, oh, thank God, because she's been here for years and she kind of creeps us out and we think she's haunted and sometimes she moves around the store.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, then I'm definitely bringing her home. And I brought her home, and she hasn't moved around on her own, but she definitely has a personality. She likes to knock things over off shelves when she gets upset. She has an attachment of a little girl. Her name is Olivia.
Is it all right if I hold her for a minute?
Well, normally I would ask Lily Bell.
Okay.
And I don't have my pendulum with me, but...
Is that how you normally communicate?
That's how I would communicate with the spirit attached to Lily Bell. But she looks like she's in a good mood, so that's up to you if you'd like to hold her.
Sure, I'll give it a try.
And she has...
I'm trying to describe what I feel, and it is... I don't know how to describe it. It's sort of a... I almost feel like she's leaning into me a little, even though...
Yes,
you know
that
what I
makes
mean?
sense to me. And then I have this other guy that I brought out. This is what I call Bitey Doll.
Oh boy.
And although I've never had this experience, multiple people that have picked it up have told me that they've been bitten. They'll just say, ow, and they throw it. And when I first picked up this doll, I honestly got it because it scared me. And I thought there was something really unusual energetically about it. And for the longest time, I would never handle it, and I kept it in a case. It did move around my house a few times, and I asked for that to stop. And it did.
Back with Rebecca, she and the team began a focused investigation of the goat doll.
Okay, so right now Alan's going to get the doll. We are really looking forward to this.
Okay, so what I have here is the entire box and the contents in it as they were found in the room in the basement in Nebraska.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. Well, aren't you adorable? Hi. Okay, I do feel energy coming off of me. I'm excited. I think you're cute. You're adorable. Just so you know, this hand is going numb.
Which is also the same side that the doll is missing an arm.
Good to know. Can you give me more information? No, don't hide from me. I mean you know, or I'm just asking some questions. I'm trying to get to know you. Okay? So you were made, and you were given to somebody. Who were you given to? A little blonde girl. Okay. I'd really like to know, are you human? I'm going to ask that again. You're being evasive. Are you human? Yes. Okay.
This answer corresponded with the team's earlier investigation of the doll.
Is the entity before us human?
How did you come to be in this doll? No, I know you were locked in a room. I see the room. I see it. Yes, you're projecting very well. Nicely done. Were people afraid of you? Yes. Okay. Do you think it's because you're a sweet little goat? Is that why you know somebody might be prejudiced against you? Okay. It appears to be that a little guarded, you know, because of mistreatment and fear and things like that. It's like, no, I'm not going to share this private stuff with you. The doll was loved, and loved by a little girl, and then locked away.
Alan also showed Carrie the goat doll.
So here's the doll that we acquired.
Okay, well, it does have a feeling.
Yeah. What do you feel?
Uneasy, actually.
Are those your feelings or the doll's feelings?
That's a good question. Could be the doll. It does look like it was used like a sewing machine. So this. Yeah, this black also has been painted on there. Do you mind if I ask some questions with my pendulum to see what I can find out about this? So I don't need this, but this is here just for visual so that you can see what I'm doing.
Okay.
If the answer is yes, my pendulum will swing that way. If the answer is no, it'll swing like that. Rephrase like that. Is this doll haunted? The answer is yes. Is this doll haunted with an intelligent haunting? Yes. Is the spirit that's attached to this doll human? Yes. Is the spirit attached to this doll someone who is associated with Ruby? No. So now that's an interesting response, the way it's shaking there.
Yeah, that was different.
Is the spirit attached to this doll intentionally attached to this doll? Did the person...
No.
Does Ruby know about this doll?
No. I wondered about that.
Did Ruby place the doll where it was? She does, but she doesn't know anything about it. Was Ruby afraid of the doll? Did someone convince Ruby to place the doll in the room like that? Did Wendell convince her to put this doll in the basement? Does this doll represent something, a specific spirit? It does. That's not what I was expecting. Alright, so just to recap, this doll has an attachment. It seems to be human. It seems to be someone unknown to Ruby. The doll seems to have been placed in the basement because Wendell didn't like the doll.
I don't feel that the doll was inhuman. I don't think an entity resides in here. There would have been a much bigger bang. This felt much gentler, you know, like a human spirit. It was kind of attached itself to this doll. Yeah.
We can look at some of this real quick too.
Yeah, let's do that.
So these items were in the box.
The doll does not like this book.
Really?
Not
So
even.
we have a few theories on why the book might have been with the doll, but I don't know what's correct.
Well, coal can be protective. This might be what we're picking up on as far as prejudice. Does that make sense? And fear.
Like this was meant to keep this
Yes.
under control.
But what if through time people were put that prejudice, you know, on this likeness because it's a goat.
Right.
You know, oh,
Right.
that's of the devil. It's you know, it's got to be ritualistic. What if 100,000 people believe in this rock and start praying to this rock, start putting energy into this rock? Do you think that it could have a consciousness if people really started putting that energy? I mean, what if this caused this?
So this was all found together. So I would like to get not just your opinion on it, but your feeling of it as well. So this.
All right, well, the longer I hold this,
You feel something?
the stranger I feel.
Okay.
I feel the presence of whoever's attached to this. It feels to me like they don't want me to look at it. Okay, well, it's interesting because this doll actually feels a little more uncomfortable to me when it's in the box. I can tell that the doll doesn't... Ooh, yeah. I can tell the doll does not like to be in the box.
I can feel
but
it.
that there's also some sort of presence that feels like the doll should be in the box.
You know, on the surface, it would seem like, you know, like maybe somebody was either trying to conjure something with this doll or to keep something from being conjured with this doll. Do I think the two are intrinsically connected? No. Do I think somebody put this with, you know, near this on purpose? I think so. I believe they are connected, but I don't think that it was a... I don't think they're companions in let's conjure something.
Okay.
Then of course, there's more than one thing going on with this. Yeah. There's a spirit seemingly attached that doesn't want to be exposed, but doesn't want to stay in the box, doesn't want to be contained. And then you've got the spirits of Ruby and Wendell saying, we want people to know what's going on with this, but you're not safe with it when it's not contained. And now, is that fact, or is that Wendell and Ruby's thoughts and opinions? Because
they were clearly afraid of
Right.
whatever was going on with this. Okay.
While holding the doll, Madison started to pick up on a name.
I'm getting the name Amelia.
That's a good one. She was going to volunteer, but she's like, yeah, you're right.
But when Becca was talking earlier about the little girl that had our little friend here, I kept getting the name Amelia. I don't know about our little friend who's in here, but I feel like they were loved by
The K2 acknowledged that.
by
way up.
a little girl named Amelia, our little friend who's in here. But I feel like
Perhaps the little girl named Amelia that Rebecca was picking up on earlier is the spirit who haunts the doll and not who the doll was made for.
Can you ask about the potential name
Yes.
that it gave us?
Yes.
Just a confirmation that that was what that was. I believe it was Amelia?
Pendulum says yes.
We don't know who that is.
Interesting. Is Amelia a person that was known to Ruby and Wendell? No. So why would she be attached? That's so interesting. So is there also a residual attachment? Yes. Okay. Is the residual the... Yes, it's because Ruby and Wendell's emotions and fears and thoughts are projected towards this doll. Big yes, big yes. So that's the uneasiness I think I'm feeling when I hold this, is their uneasiness with this doll. But it's interesting because if they're so uneasy with this doll that they needed to lock it away in a room.
They didn't want to get rid of it. They wanted to protect it from the world, basically.
Yes.
But
So they
that's the part I don't
placed the doll in the room to protect the doll? No.
Protect everyone else from the doll.
Yes.
With Rebecca, the team tried using the spirit box.
when Alan first introduced this little friend to me, I was told that they were first referred to as the curly-haired doll. Was that more correct for your host than we realized? Yes.
Are we getting scientific confirmation?
No. But I heard William and then Bill.
Okay. That's what I thought I heard too. Okay. I didn't catch that.
But they're very distinctly both male and female.
Yeah, we might be doing it too.
Yeah, so I just heard
Yeah.
I just said yes.
Did it?
I think so.
Perfect.
In a male voice.
Okay. Okay. So not an entity, but maybe two spirits. So.
That just flashed.
Not an entity, but maybe two spirits. So.
I don't think it's necessarily that there's two in there, but I think there's one in there, and I think the sun is coming through.
That could be as well.
Yeah, that's my feeling.
I'm not getting.
That just flashed.
Yeah, I'm not getting distinction
Yeah.
between them.
During the spirit box session, a male and a female had come through, similar to the first session the team did on the items. Could the female voice be the little girl that Rebecca was picking up on? As for the male voice earlier, April Slaughter had said that the doll was made for a boy who took it with him into adulthood. Perhaps this voice belonged to the son of Ruby, Timothy, who had his own attachment to the doll. With this new information, Alan and Jesse began their paranormal investigation of Kenny's house in Nebraska.
So have you ever seen any shadows or anything like that looked out of place either down here?
Yes, I always told my wife I'm so tired of seeing these shadows down below. They're small, they come by me. Nothing that was in a form, it's just they were just describing me.
Like a child size?
Yes. Yes.
So the doll is a doll is typically associated with a child.
Well, that's what I saw.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this set up now. The longer this is up, the more chances it has of helping us out. I was thinking probably putting this back here in the room, at least while we're getting ready.
I have a suggestion, Alan.
Yes, sir.
Set the door down on the floor and set that on top of it.
Is there someone here with us? Is there someone here with us now? Do you know Kenny?
Do you know Ruby?
Whoa. Whoa. Okay, step away, thank you. Is this Ruby? Can you touch that?
Ruby.
Okay, thank you. Step back away, please. Step away. We got you. That's good. Just let go. Move back a little bit. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna try something here. You'll be able to talk to us through this device. So let me get this set up. You can take energy from the room. You can take energy from us if you need to. But it's important for us to communicate with you right now. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Who's here with us right now? Can you tell us your name? Is this Ruby? Is there a male that you know of? Oh, I feel it. Do you feel it? It's really cold right here. Your nose is running. Your nose is running? All right. Kenny's going to be living here now, and he's going to be doing some work on the house. We just want you to be okay with that and know that he's trying to do the best he can. Are you okay with this? Kenny found a doll here. Alright, hold on a minute. Yes. Do you have a message for me? Sit down. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Sit down. I feel your presence. Yeah. Okay, hold on. It just touched me on the back of the neck. Do you know about? Tell me about the doll. Is the doll evil? I don't know. Is the doll good? Okay. How many of you are here? Two. Are you glad the doll is gone?
Yeah. Did you hear a yes?
Is this door significant in some way? Who did this artwork? Was this artwork related to the doll? Ruby. Just say Kenny.
Ruby, you know I'm here for you. You know I've talked to you plenty of times in your house. You know I'm here to help you. Are you okay with that?
How do you feel, Alan?
Like I just had a conversation with a deceased person.
Kenny? What about you?
It said Kenny. It said my name.
After regrouping for a bit, they tried the REM pod once again.
Did you have more to say to us? I don't know. Maybe that was goodbye.
So I said the same thing, and I actually saying goodbye to us. I said the same thing, Alan. I think she was saying goodbye. I think that she wanted to communicate with me. I didn't know how to go through and how about to do this. But I always thought me and her had a connection. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I'm stunned.
Carrie Bergen analyzed the investigation and provided the following insight.
Well, clearly, the spirits that are coming through on the spirit box session are intelligent spirits. They're aware of the history of the house, it seems, knowing who lived there before. It seems they're aware of who's present in the room. I think it's very interesting that as a random experiment, you chose to use the door, seeing that the room wasn't there. But a door, symbolically, is a portal. That's an opening that goes either way. So symbolically, that's similar to saying, here's an open door for you to come through. When I watched the investigation footage, I noticed that there definitely seemed to be two distinct voices, one male and one female, and they seem to match up with the facts we have for the people that lived there before. And I thought it was really interesting, and at one point a question was asked.
You know about, tell me about the doll. Is the doll evil?
And I looked up just sort of the family members of the people who lived there, and Ruby had a sister, she's still living, named Ella. And so I wondered if there wasn't maybe something to do with Ruby's sister Ella. Maybe the doll belonged to her, maybe it was given to her, maybe she had something to do with it. And so I thought that perhaps that could have brought some sort of closure or understanding to the spirits there. If you're in there remodeling this area and you come down there and you introduce yourself and you say, we don't mean to bother you, we're just down here doing this, and then you also sort of introduce Ruby to the person who now owns this doll that she's worried about, that might have some sort of effect on how they feel about what's going on in the house.
Alan checked in with Kenny to go over the team's findings and conclusions on the investigation.
And then there was a book. So we've been, over the last 2 years, we've been working on that, trying to figure out what's going on. And we can only get so far because what we're dealing with here is paranormal, so we're talking about potentially spirits or beings from somewhere else. So obviously we're not going to be able to interview them. So what we've done is we've taken the doll itself to a couple people that have their own haunted doll collections. The first thread that I want you to know is the doll is perceived by these people to be good. There's a positive energy in the doll. The book itself is the opposite. The energy attached to that book is very I wouldn't say negative, but it's restrictive. So what we think and we've pieced together is that the pages in the book and the words in the book are not what's important about the book. What's important about the book is the energy of the book. The thought is that they told us that they believe that the doll was gifted from Ruby's aunt, who we believe that name was said during our investigation. We know that now. We didn't know that until just recently. So there's a connection there. So I think Ruby was trying to communicate to us about the doll. And we were asking questions about the doll, and there were answers coming through, but there was a male voice there too. So Ruby lost a son, Timothy, and could have been him, we're not sure. But what these people seem to think is that when that doll was gifted to Timothy, most likely, by his aunt, who most likely made it, Wendell didn't like the look of it. And he was afraid of it because they were Protestant, very religious. So I think everything that happened in that basement was to protect the world from that doll. But Madison held the doll, and after about 10 minutes, a name popped into her head. Amelia. And Rebecca instantly said, "That's it." So it's a little blonde girl named Amelia, and her soul's attached to that doll, and I don't know why. Here's the problem, and here's the dilemma. If Wendell was right, and we remove the book from the doll, then we've released whatever is in it. But if Wendell was wrong, then whatever's in the doll is being punished for something he didn't do. So what do we do? This is the dilemma. So both of them, our doll ladies, I'll call them, said that we should set it free. So the doll is now away from the box, away from the book, away from the coal. And it is in my living room. It's been there for about a month. And the first night that the doll was in the house, I woke up at about 2 in the morning and something said hello. Child's voice from downstairs. And ever since then, it's been quiet.
Alan and Kenny looked back on their interaction with Ruby.
She was with us. I think she liked you.
What do you think she was trying to say?
Thank you. Thanks for Kenny. Thanks for you guys here. It felt like it needed to be done. Ruby needed to go.
So after that, after we left, what happened that night?
Oh, just total mess. You know, just you know, you're sitting in a house that is responding to you, and it's responding in an intelligent way.
It felt like the house was alive, like it was its own thing.
Yeah.
So what do you think that was?
Energy. It was Ruby. It was all the years of the chaos and demise and stuff she had to go through. Everything was just twirling, and I just went out the door.
So she had cancer, right, and died in the house from cancer. Yeah. So you think that night everything, you said it was chaotic, like there was noises. You called me and you said it's crazy in here right now, and all of that just went, and it's been quiet pretty much since.
Yeah, it has. I don't see the shadows no more. You know, I still talk to Ruby when I work on the house, but it's a different feel. Well, if I were to take a journey, I'm glad you was with me, because I know that you led this journey, and you guided. You and Ron did something there to release Ruby, and I thank you guys for that. I know the house felt to me, it was demise, it was lonely, it needed something, it was missing. And I came in and filled the missing spot, and you came in and helped fill that spot. So I thank you. Thank you.
Throughout the investigation, the team utilized many paranormal experts, each of whom brought their own experiences and unique ways of connecting to the paranormal. Because of this, the information they provided varied to some degree, but common threads were revealed.
I think it's absolutely a factor that investigators' mindset, their experiences play into what happens in an investigation. And if you are already kind of freaked out about something, then you might kind of draw in that sort of energy to you. if you have in your mind that you are investigating a really creepy goat-headed doll and your personal connotations maybe make you think of more negative things, then of course you're going to be a little bit more freaked out doing the investigation because you have those connotations in your mind, and then that can actually draw that sort of thing to you.
You know, this is far beyond any simple answer. There is no simple answer. There is no singular answer for all of this phenomenon.
Keeping an open mind, this is so much more fascinating and so much more complex than just the voices of the dead.
The team sat down for the last time to reflect on their findings of the haunting of Blue Hill.
Well, it's been a long journey, and here we are after many investigations of the doll and the book and Kenny's house.
I find it crazy that this whole journey started off with there's a box with a book in it and a doll, to oh my gosh, it's a goat, to is this Baphomet, to each of these items has obviously their own story and their own meaning.
You know, as we kind of peeled the layers of the proverbial onion back and found out more, there's a lot more that we haven't even got to or didn't even touch in this thing.
Well, and I think, you know, the one thing that we just couldn't really get anywhere with was how did the book with Carl Schuete's name written on it get with the doll in the box and Cole in the basement?
Right.
None of it. We never really got there as to how it all ended up there. But one thing is clear, is it all ended up there for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, it started off kind of spooky and scary, and I thought things would go a different direction, but now I feel totally differently towards the doll and like this whole experience.
Don't look at things necessarily on their surface value or your perceived surface value. And if you do that initially, take the time to look beyond that, because not everything you see initially and on the surface is going to be what it actually is.